Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars universe seems to be quite expansive, not just with their upcoming books, novels, video games, and more, but we also have a handful of Star Wars movies and TV shows on the horizon that's really going to give fans a very different vision of Star Wars, a brand new outlook by Jon and Dave, and exactly what they are prepared to really deliver to the fans around the world, of course. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about this new universe between George, Jon, and Dave is that not only are they taking a lot of core elements from Star Wars Legends, but they're also taking a lot of older concepts that were rejected by George Lucas for Legends. So they will also be getting a lot of, original ideas that we have never seen before, a lot of ideas that were supposed to happen for Legends but never did. So moving on to the biggest thing of all, given that Favreau and Filoni got these big time promotions a couple of months ago, you guys may recall that we talked about this, and thankfully Bob Iger, the new Disney CEO, is not going to sabotage that in any way, shape, or form, so that's one thing to relax over. However, what Favreau and Filoni have been doing is changing a lot of things around behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm, a lot of which, by the way, has got to do with Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy and exactly how this all involves a particular Star Wars project, a big plan by Kennedy that was sabotaged by Jon and Dave for valid reasons. We're going to dive into all of this and exactly what happened and why it was done for the better. And I think that really, Jon and Dave dodged a big bullet here by preventing themselves from getting a lot of fan backlash. Now, moving on forward. Now, with both Favreau and Filoni very involved with upcoming Star Wars shows that will be developed for the fandom, they recently made a big decision behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm. Now, one key change that Jon and Dave applied over at Lucasfilm was canceling a big Star Wars project that was going to be Kathleen Kennedy's biggest Star Wars project yet. Now, this was the cancellation of a new High Republic Star Wars TV show that was going to be called Star Wars Eclipse and was going to tell a controversial tale of the character Yoda in this series. Now, this was all slated to be Kennedy's third big Star Wars show, apart from Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. The series was aimed to release in 2024 before it went into limbo, but the main reason why Jon and Dave decided to cancel Kathleen Kennedy's biggest series was due to the fact that it was going to feature a story of Yoda very similar to Luke in The Last Jedi, alright? Now, Kennedy wanted to show fans a different side of the character with him abandoning the Jedi Order for around 20 years by the end of the show and giving up his belief in the Jedi way. Now, let me just pause here for a second. No wonder why Jon and Dave wanted to cancel this, because they saw what Kathleen Kennedy did with The Last Jedi, and from what it appears, she wanted to do it again. She wanted to do it to another valuable, beloved character that we all grew up with, right? Now, when you look at a character like Luke, Obi-Wan, Yoda, Anakin, those are your core characters, right? At least in the mythology of the whole Jedi aspect of things, right? And what I like about them so much is how grounded those characters really are, and Kathleen Kennedy technically stripped down Kenobi and Luke already, so she already took down 2. She was attempting to take down Yoda as well. And when you look at a character like Yoda, this is a character that you would never imagine would abandon his Jedi beliefs. Sure, at the very end of Revenge of the Sith, he exiled himself over to Dagobah, but he never abandoned his beliefs and/or his connection to the Jedi. That never happened. So what Kennedy wanted to do in this High Republic movie, or series, I should say, which, by the way, was going to be called Star Wars Eclipse, it was going to be somehow connected to the video game series, is that it was going to feature Yoda dropping his connections to the Force, his connections to the Jedi Order and the Jedi themselves, and even his own beliefs, all gone. That's what Kennedy wanted to do. Jon and Dave were not about that. They wanted to immediately cancel this altogether, and rightfully so. They made the right call. I think that was the ultimate path to go toward, and to really ensure that Star Wars could very well thrive and survive and not meet another backlash on a Last Jedi level. And John actually talked about something similar about this before in the past, saying that he would never tamper with the character of Yoda. He would never even think or imagine to do anything like that with Yoda or Luke or Obi-Wan or anybody like that out there. And it just goes to show you that John respects the lore, he respects the characters' tendencies and their beliefs, and those are the types of characters that you would never believe that would really kind of just change. So, on to the next thing that I think is very powerful is, of course, a lot of things to do with Kathleen Kennedy, and how it really also has a lot to do with the fact of what's been going on with John and Dave as well. So moving on to the next thing here. Now, this is something that John and Dave, believe it or not, were truly concerned about. They had the authority to cancel the show altogether, as it was going to be a series that would feature no battles or wars in the show, and was going to be strictly focused on stripping down the Yoda character and featuring other Jedi as well, in the order that were going to abandon the temple as well. The story by Kathleen was going to be about Jedi who abort their Jedi tradition and betray the temple out of a certain belief and go into hiding. The series was aimed to be a thriller for Star Wars without wars or battles. Kennedy was going to hire Leslie Headland to write the story also. So for those of you that don't know, Leslie was the writer of The Acolyte that's coming out. She finished writing the entire show, and Kennedy wanted her back for a second High Republic series. And I think that also would have been another big mistake, because, look, say what you will about Leslie, some fans may like her out there, some fans may dislike her, but what she said cannot be reversed, that she's not really a Star Wars fan, that she's not really into the prequel trilogy movies, that she never really researched all of the lore. She herself said this, and it kind of gives me flashbacks to what Joby Harold said and what Rupert Friend said of how they never watched X, Y, and Z in the Star Wars universe. Or, for example, Rupert Friend said he never watched the Clone Wars on purpose, just because I didn't watch it. I think that if you're an actor and you're involved in a franchise like this, especially playing a certain character, you have to watch a show to kind of get and pick up on the mannerisms. I'm just saying. So, I think that this really is showing John and Dave's loyalty to the fans. This is really showing John and Dave's connection to the Star Wars fandom and their overall, their power of belief in defending this franchise and making sure that it propels forward in the right path under Disney. Now, thankfully, like I said before, Bob Iger is not changing their path. He's not telling them what to do. He's allowing them to do exactly what they want to do, just as Bob Chapek is allowing them, or allowed them, now that he's fired. But there's a lot of things coming out of this. I think that given that this series was canceled, it definitely was probably the best decision on their part. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.